Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the lab. How is everybody doing today? Let's see here. I have already attempted once now to get the lovely pop-out chat working, and for whatever reason, pop-out chat is just not very consistent. It's giving me quite a strong motivation to actually productize this bot that we have going on here. Hello, Phoenix. Thanks so much for stopping back at the lab. Welcome, mate. And sorry, can't think of one. How are you? How are you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by. Took me 2 hours to solve the issue with the Vault API, which that is one of the first things that that I'll be going over today. Is the change that we made to the Vault API and Shito, as is tradition here at the lab. If somebody, if a viewer gives me any type of hint or assist in any way towards the completion of a particular a particular feature, then I add you into the comments. I add you into the commit history. So, for what tiny sliver that is worth, you are immortalized in the Git history that is the stream bot. And I have zero intention of getting rid of that. Let's see here. Actually, I am going to need. Oh, I do not have Zoom up and running. Zoom, because Zoom is my ever so wonderful whiteboarding tool. It's like, whiteboard tool, huh? Zoom is video conferencing software. Hello? It's like, yes, technically. However, the video conferencing is only a part. Zoom allows me to share my iPad screen, and that is how we get our wonderful whiteboard. And speaking of wonderful, welcome our wonderful mod, Sorcery and Sarcasm. How are you doing tonight? Thank you so much for stopping by the lab. That was a horrifically improvised segue, and at this point, I'm pretty sure Sorcery just like imploded. It's like, how dare you? How dare you acknowledge me? All right, we oops, there we go. Did you check out Miro.com for online collab visualization? I did, and I believe I actually have a Miro account, if I'm not mistaken. I've actually used Miro for a couple of technical interviews. Call that the last. What's that been? The last 2 or 3 months or so. A lot of smaller shops were using Miro as kind of like a collaborative whiteboard, which was very interesting. And personally, I kind of enjoyed Miro. Because Miro is the oh Lord, who is it? Who is it that that's behind Miro? Or am I thinking of something else? I might be thinking of something else. But yes, I have indeed looked at Miro. I just haven't gotten anything set up for the lab, unfortunately. All right, we get our traditional cup of matcha going for the stream. Ideally, I do not spill it all over the place like I did before. Hopefully. Let's see here. How is everybody? Just as a catch up for everybody. Again, I apologize in advance if I sound a little out of it. Am running a little bit on a little bit of fumes for today, which, as you can tell by the structure of that sentence, that I can claim as English, but that doesn't make it any more or less valid. Yes, I am running on fumes. However, I was super excited for today's stream. So do bear with. I apologize if the commentary sounds a little muted, but we shall get through, because you know what? Science is just one of those things that should be enjoyed. It should be joyful. Until, of course, science messes with me.
Good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Welcome, May. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab, and thank you so much for the follow. Digital lab coats are available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit because, well, they are digital, and unfortunately, we have no way of validating that they actually do fit or not. But welcome. All right, so I can confirm that I am still not hearing any sound notifications, which I think I know why, which might require me to pop out. Let's see. Well, maybe not. Okay, so we'll leave that where it is. And okay. Kind of tired, woke up pissed today. Heard. It's a mood today. But hey, the best part about waking up is that there is more time that you get to have to do whatever it is that you wish to do. Insert quote from Confucius here, perhaps. Righty, so bear with me, folks, just a moment. I am attempting to see if this is actually going to allow me, allow audio and video. Aha! So that might have been the problem. Let me see if I can redo this.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Oh dear, okay. Oh,
good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Okay, my apologies. Pippa, you get the triple shout out. But yeah, so I think I might have the alerts sorted. If anybody starts to hear alert repetition, if you start to hear an echo through my microphone, please let me know, because unfortunately I have a bit of an odd setup to make those things work. Sure. All right, let's go ahead and get started, as it is now 4:42 p.m., which means that it is time to start the lab. The entire population of Mars, welcome to the lab. Thank you so much for stopping by. Oh my goodness, we have so many from the Cult of Cthulhu coming over, and that warms my heart. Let's see here. Let me do a screen mirror, get the zoom window up here. Alrighty. I am going to, just because we have to have this up here. Where am I from? I am American, Pippa. I am on the East Coast of America, to be specific. So at the moment, it is 4:43 p.m. And yeah. Alrighty, let's get to, let me close that out, just making sure that there are no residual screens that are going to pop up on stream, because that would be less than ideal. Get that. And again, thank you everybody for your patience. I am still working out the various kinks that comes with doing a full swap over from Streamlabs to just raw OBS. So just bear with me as we get this going. All right. So, as I think many of you could have seen there, it is definitely there have been some thoughts that have been happening since I missed the last stream. One more question: Are you a programmer? Yes, I am, Pippa. I've been a developer now. Let's see here. Professionally, if you include all the freelancing that I did, and the one game that I worked on, decade and a half, about 15 years or so. I'm trying to do the math in my head, and math is not working right now. Need more tea. But yeah, I've been a programmer for quite some time now. It is it's kind of one of those things where I figured out very early, thanks to some very influential people in my life. I found out very early that programming was kind of like my thing. I kind of had this problem growing up as a kid where I wanted to experience everything, but I rarely stuck with things. Except for things like Magic the Gathering, video games, stuff like that. But yeah, programming was kind of the first, shall we call it, professional skill or artisan skill that I really like hooked on to. And I hooked on hard, and I haven't really let go of that since. So it's kind of, I like to say that programming is my purpose in life. I may not be the best. I definitely am behind on probably many of my peers that have been doing this as long as I have, but there's an element of enjoyment that has just not degraded the tiniest of bits in the 15 or so years that I've been doing this. And Dahl, welcome back to the lab. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you? I'm doing just fine. I'm very tired, so I will be I kind of had a full array, and actually that reminds me. Cool. We have coffee, we have matcha, and we have other things that are full of caffeine that will get me through, but so far, doing pretty darn good. I forgot the coffee. Never forget the coffee. Oh, Shito, never forget the coffee. Alrighty, so something that we needed to check off here. We did indeed get the auto greeter. And I think there are a couple more things that we still need to do, but I can order via smartphone. Proper. Let's see here. Programming is my life. I started from C# when I was 19, and now I'm middle full stack dev. That is fantastic, Pippa. It is so fun to meet other people that share that passion. And I mean, I work as a software developer. That is my career. That is my day job. But it's surprising how rare it is to actually find people that are like really passionate about it. Which, I mean, I get it. Programming is a lucrative career if you can, it's a hard career, but it's a lucrative career. But it's surprising how few people are really passionate about the craft. Rock Raid, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. Oh my goodness, so many Cthulhu peeps. Which, by the way, if anybody is curious, we have a number of viewers from Sorcery's stream, which is lovingly called the Cult of Cthulhu. It is fantastic to say, and it is a fantastic community. So give her a look if you haven't already. And Shoryuken Pizza, welcome back to the lab, mate. Rock Raid, we are building a Twitch bot in Go. So I'll show kind of the current state of where the bot is here in just a moment. But it's effectively a chat bot that I am slowly. At first, I was kind of building just for kind of the meta-ness. This was kind of the first project that I worked on Twitch, and it ended up being just a thing that has started to become very useful for me, as I am about to show. Sorry, lurking while I make my bed. No worries, Sorcery. As always, your mere presence in the lab is very much appreciated. Golang is functional. It definitely has some functional programming elements. I'm not entirely sure that I would call it a functional language, though. Well, let's see here. I would call it less functional than something like Scala, F Sharp, Haskell, those types of languages. I would call it less functional, but you could absolutely write functional Golang as far as I'm aware. For me personally, I've not really done a whole lot of functional Golang, but you can tell when the functional programmer in me starts to come out, because you see me do things that you would typically find in functional code bases. I must go grocery shopping, so no worries, Shoryuken. Thank you so much for stopping by. Always good to see you all. Yes, so I've been doing some brainstorming. There's a couple of things that have kind of pushed me towards this this idea of kind of productizing or productionalizing, whatever it is you want to call it. I'm not so much looking at it from a commercial standpoint, because frankly, I'm not entirely sure that I really want to go down that path. But the productization in terms of being something that is useful for me on a regular basis has crossed my mind over and over and over again. And so started to think about this in terms of the overall UI. And when we were looking at this, we kind of talked about, okay, well, we've got this potential. It's kind of like a standard dashboard. You've got a logo, some navigation, and some type of linked or a drop down to user information. We've got some type of kind of like quick view cards, which was kind of more of an idea of what do we look at for metrics and things. Interesting, but not really the thing that I'm really interested in, at least right now. The big one for me is actually this chat window. And so the thought that I've been having around this chat window is kind of pushing this to be front and center. And there have been some thoughts around that. Does Twitch offer an official API to grab chat messages? It does. Twitch is an IRC client or IRC server, it turns out. So WebSockets or IRC clients that can connect to IRC, all of those are effectively IRC clients. All you need is an OAuth token to authenticate as your user or as a bot user. And then it's just plain text IRC messaging, which is fantastic. And I do believe that at a bare minimum, there's at least one officially supported SDK, I think. I definitely saw a number of SDKs, things that other people had built, but I went with building my own purely as a learning exercise. An opportunity to get deeper into my usage of Golang, but also to kind of get deeper into the ideas of, well, how do we take this service and then how do we build on top of it? And it was a gold mine of content, it turned out. All right. So what I've kind of been thinking about is basically extending the chat box out a little bit. So the original idea for having a chat box had nothing to do with this other stuff that I've started kind of ideating, sure, thinking about. And the goal was really just to replace the chat window. Like right now I have my MacBook open over on the side, and I use that as my my chat box, because as many times as I've tried to do the pop-out chat window in just like a Firefox browser, it keeps getting disconnected or messages get jumbled up. But if I'm on twitch.tv by itself, it works just fine for a little while, although occasionally I do have to come in and be like, hey, hello, the broadcaster is still in here, but whatever. It's kind of cumbersome, not going to lie. So what I would really like is to have some type of tool that is basically an IRC client into chat that is persistent, number one, but that also has that kind of, it's something that I could basically take and embed down here in this kind of like secret area of my monitor that you guys don't see. That was kind of the original idea. and 715. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome back to the lab. Oh my goodness, so many people here tonight. Oh my goodness, so many people here tonight. Hi. welcome to Scuff Stream. And yes, I apologize. I am not wearing the lab coat right now. It is blazing hot.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Rockeray, thank you so much for the follow, mate. Welcome to the lab. Welcome. You are officially an intern. Digital lab coats are available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that those lab coats will actually fit because they are digital and we have no way of guaranteeing any type of sizing. So, unpaid internships, my favorite. Well, technically speaking, you do collect lab credits. Those do not have any monetary value here in the real world. It's kind of like if there was a Medgecoin, but Medgecoin was completely unbacked by anything. And yes, there was a recommendation to call the little channel points down here. They ended up being called lab credits, but somebody suggested they be called Medgecoin. I had an existential crisis for which one I wanted, lab credits or Medgecoin. I ended up going with credits, but so yes. So that was kind of the original idea and kind of what this little sketch over here started to be. However, it got me thinking that there is a potential opportunity with that interface, a persistent, consistent chat. Persistent, consistent chat. Hey. Which is what I'd like to title the card. That is something that I would definitely like to have. That is probably like number one goal for me right now, is to make that chat consistent, persistent and consistent. And Solar Truth 101, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome back to the lab. We are just going over the next steps for... We are going over how I, as a native English speaker, am not capable of speaking the English. There are many points in my life where my English is kind of going out the window and my English just kind of comes out, and then the comes out. And then everybody just stares at me and wonders, I wonder if he's going to make it. You not able to speak the England. Is not wrong. Let's see here. Is 100% of this project going to be streamed, or is it more of a highlight, showcase, conceptualization? So far, it has been 100%. Well, I guess that's not technically true. I'd say maybe 99.98% has been streamed. I did work on one thing off camera, which was the secrets management, the vault integration. And it was one of those things of like, we tried to do it on the last stream and it was bothering me. And then Shito86 came in clutch with a recommendation for how to fix, and I just couldn't let it go. I had to go and mess with it. So yes, but for the most part, I'd say pretty much everything about this project has been and will be streamed. Because there's really nothing proprietary or anything to hide or anything of that nature. I actually got started learning Go like 5 days ago. Fantastic. More Gophers. We need more Gophers. So yes, that kind of the conceptualization of this chatbot kind of got me started thinking about some of these other things, and I would say that most of them are more just kind of brain dumping ideas onto digital paper just to kind of get them out of my head. But things like, okay, well, definitely MVP number one. The absolute first thing that I want to get working is the chat box with no coloring. So this would just be a text window that just blows past all the messages that are coming by in the chat. And this will be without the emotes for the first go around because, oh boy, emotes are just things that I don't even know how to deal with at this point. And it's not really the focal point. The auto thanks for followers was more of an idea that I think I saw on, was it Streamlabs? I think it was Streamlabs. Good afternoon, Officer Wolf. Thanks so much for stopping by. Welcome back to the lab. I think it was Streamlabs that showed the auto thank follows, I think. And same thing for the auto thank for subscribers. Effectively, the idea there is that it just adds a little bit of additional kind of call out for those types of things. It might be unnecessary, maybe. I would say that that these two are more like nice to haves for MVP than they are necessarily must haves. But I really liked the idea of being able to kind of write out a custom message for followers and subscribers. And yes, we have the alert. We have the alert box that pops up on stream. You know, I have an event that pops up in Streamlabs, and of course, as much as I try to catch them, I want to say something on stream, but it's just that one little extra piece. Although the other thing is custom messages config, and this idea kind of came up as well, maybe I want to do a specific message for a specific channel, but maybe if I joined this bot to another channel, maybe I want to have that configurable. Or God forbid, if we actually did make this productionalized in some capacity and commercialized, then it would kind of be good to have those messages as configuration and not so much as just hard-coded strings in code that I would then have to manage. Can attest, hard-coded strings for messages is a horrible, horrible thing to deal with. And then we go into some MVP2 stuff, and so the breakdown of MVP1, MVP2, and then H1 and H2 are what we call Horizon 1 and Horizon 2. It's kind of the MVP is the thing that we want to work on right now. So MVP1 is like, this must happen for the initial release. MVP2 is immediately after the first release. This is something that we would want to focus on and to really like get into the product as quickly as possible. And then Horizon 1 and Horizon 2 are the things that we are fairly confident that we want to do as features at some point, but MVP is kind of the focus, and perhaps there's more detail that needs to be sussed out for those features. Like custom channel currency, do we need that for anything? Is that for something else? I don't know about that one. And then custom send message buttons, like what does that actually mean? What does that actually look like? I think at some point I was thinking that was kind of like a duplication of what I currently have set up for the Stream Deck in a UI window, but I wasn't really positive, to be sure. So clearly the Horizon 1 and Horizon 2 stuff, it needs some thought. It needs some work to really kind of become something that could be workable. But yeah, that's kind of the general state of where my brain was. Let's catch up here. Let's catch up on chat. Good news and bad news. We got our Pwnagotchi up and running. Bad news, burnt my hand on the soldering iron trying to put the clock on the Pwnagotchi and still don't have a clock on it yet. You know, these hands have some bad memories of attempting to get into electronics. Electrical engineering was definitely something that I was interested in for a time, and I got out of relatively quickly. I always found myself being the one that was doing the embedded programming at the RTOS level, and not at the like, oh hey, we need the clock module to be soldered on here, and then we need the RTOS to be over to be able to do this, that, or that. That was not me. I was more of the, now tell me which chip we're using, give me a pinout, and more or less give me some type of SDK that I can use. But alas. And let's see here. If you want to go into production level quality, hard-coded strings are a no-no simply for internationalization. Exactly, Rockraid. Let's see here. Are there any operating systems that can't interpret Go? Sans some niche ones? I don't think so. As far as I'm aware, the Go compiler backend supports, let's see here, definitely the Nix-based operating systems, Unix and Darwin. Windows is definitely on there. I'm fairly certain ARM is on there, and ARM-based systems. I'm blanking on if there actually is one that doesn't that Go does not support, but there probably is, I would imagine. Oh, Web and Keyboard, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome back to the lab. Let's catch up. Drank tea for a few weeks, had a shot of espresso today. My head wants to pop. Vibe. Were we limited to tech news? No, tea is important. And thank you for the hydrate. Guess the next lab project is going to be running Go on a real-time OS like a spacecraft and launching it into space. I don't believe that the lab currently has budget for building rockets, last I checked. Although, there is a potential, possibly, if I can figure out a way to actually... if I could figure out a way to actually get a camera to show this, something that Sorry I Can't Think of One and I were working on months ago was Go code that was controlling a drone, and that was super fun. Maybe for the next project, who knows? Go is managed and runs on the VM, right? It doesn't compile to platform-specific machine code. It does compile to platform-specific machine code, Rockraid, but it is also a managed application. So, yes, the Go runtime is compiled into the Go binary, but it does compile down to native machine code. It does not run on a VM like Java or C#. I'll keep saving me chat points then. There's a nice AWS service for that ground station. Excuse me? Control satellite communications. What? As if there wasn't enough AWS services, like... Huh. Color me speechless. Fully managed service that lets you control satellite communications, process data, and scale your operations without having to worry about building or managing your own ground station infrastructure. Like, why not? We own the internet, so why not? I think NASA even hosted a satellite hackathon. Oh my goodness. Looking forward to that cert course. Nope. I just finished my my solution architect associate like April of this year. Never again. Never again. My thoughts exactly, Shito. All right. So, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let me put up the secret screen real quick so I can dismiss Zoom. And put the lovely iPad away because this thing has legit changed my life for notes. Like, I still write down notes by hand, but writing them on the iPad has been life-changing, to say the least. All right, so let's get into Medjbot. Let's go into them. So I just want to highlight this real quick. Oh, Ina, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab, mate. Thank you so much. Before I go to Guitar, I hope you are well. Thank you, Ina. Would you mind sending my regards to Guitar? Depending on who finishes first tonight, which might be me. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if we can rate him a little bit later. Untitled text document 7, iPad. Will do. Thank you, Ina. I name all of my notes, Rockraid. I am one of those ridiculous people, especially because of, let's see here. The app is called, I believe it's called GoodNotes. It's actually been a hot minute since I've actually looked at this thing. It even has flashcards. I didn't know they had flashcards. Well, that's cool. Huh. But I'm one of those crazy people that will like create a quick note, immediately name it, and then start writing whatever it is that I was trying to write down. Yeah, it's a fantastic little app. GoodNotes is pretty sweet. Agreed. All right, 8-1500. I am fairly certain that I am behind on Vim. We'll fix that. We'll fix that in a minute. So I wanted to very quickly go over the vault changes. So for anybody that was not caught up on last stream, what we were effectively doing is integrating the bot with Vault. And so Vault is a secrets management application from HashiCorp, and it's a fantastic piece of software, something that I am not qualified to fully speak on, but it is a piece of software that I have used in a couple of different places, although I'm still bad at it. And as the viewers kind of saw from the last approach, actually getting into a raw use case, there we go, with Vault was enlightening, because most of the time I've been using these kind of pre-built APIs that were provided by the security team. But this time around, we did it ourselves. And so one of the first things that went wrong was that before, we just had, when we were searching for the secret inside of Vault, Vault has this concept of a path. And a path is basically just an identifier towards a collection of data. Originally, I had it as secret/Twitch token because when I do a Vault KV put to put data into Vault, that's the path that I used. It was secrets/Twitch token. And so I thought that the path inside of the code would also be secret/Twitch token. And yeah, no, that was not the case, apparently. Apparently, there's this little data insert in between these two. And no, I have no idea why. Shito, if you know why, please enlighten, because I have no bloody clue. And lastly, thanks to Shito for pointing this out, which, by the way, that should be Shito86. And here we go. And there was an additional extract process that needed to happen because the data was not under, what is it? So the map would effectively be secret.data is the item, and then data goes to token, which goes to the string. Is more or less the kind of the general idea for what's going on. To do with the versioning, so there's now metadata for the versioning information, and then it's separated from the data. Ah, gotcha. Okay, so it's kind of you can select whether you want the data itself or the metadata about that secret. Interesting. Okay, that makes a little more sense. So yes, there was some extracting that we had to do that we were not doing in the original version of the code. So again, thanks to Shito for pointing this out. We first do an extract of the data key, which gives us another map string interface. And then out of that, we can look into that map, get the data map, get the token key out of that map. And what we get out of that is a string, which I just realized I should probably do that here instead of doing the cast in the return. Yeah, that's a little more streamlined, and it also follows that pattern. And then same thing for the OK check. For anybody that doesn't know, Golang allows you, Golang gets on maps have a second return. The first one is the potential value, but then there's this OK parameter, which the OK parameter is more or less just a Boolean that says whether or not that value exists. And if it doesn't, then in this case, we return an error. There's also some missing, but just for catching error, secret and error can be nil at the same time. Is this Vault by Autodesk? This is Vault by HashiCorp. Let me type that in here. Vault by HashiCorp. There we go. Ah, so sorry. The joys of living with 3 cats. 3 cats equals hair in my nose all the bloody time. So yes, that, and this actually gets us to the very fun part where I can do a Docker Compose build. Oh, hello. Well, I can do a Docker Compose build if I have Docker running. Let's see here. Go looks weird for me because I see it for the very first time, just trying to understand some constructions of this language. It definitely, if you are used to a language like Java or C#, Go's syntax can catch you a little bit. It is a very simplified language in comparison, and if you've ever experienced C, especially from the perspective of the way that they declare functions, structures, pointer versus value arguments, things of that nature, Go kind of starts to feel a little more familiar. But then you get niceties like multiple returns, the ability to add receiver methods on structs that kind of sort of act like a class, but they kind of sort of don't. It's basically just syntax sugar, which is actually kind of nice. So on and so forth. Implicit interfaces, oh, so good. The general idea of the lack of inheritance in Go really makes me happy, because for anybody that does not know, so I am technically a career Java developer. Most of my career has been either in Java, Scala, some Go, but it was very minimal, or JavaScript. But you know where my allegiance lies. Class dog extends animal. Why? But why? All right. And then if we do I do still need to source the access token. I could not find a good way to inject that data into Vault and basically keep it there. There was a process that I was not ready to automate. So for now, we're just basically gonna source the access token and then allow Start to do the work for me. So Start is a shell script, and I'll kind of showcase what that looks like here in just a moment. Actually, I might be able to do... Yeah, there we go. Ta-da! And so for the questions earlier, I believe it was Rockraid that was asking, what does the bot currently do? This is more or less what it looks like. I see you added Redis. We did 715. So we have an auto greet function, or at least in theory, we have an auto greet function, which we do. Aha. Except that the auto greet function is a little weird. It doesn't necessarily catch up. It only sees new messages. So in theory, 715, could you... Well, no, actually. It said welcome to Rockraid, but it didn't say welcome to 715. I call bullshit on this bullshit. Never seen Rockraid before. We should probably remove that logging, but... let's see here. I am bot beep boop. Never seen Pippa before. Okay, there it goes. Yeah, it's on a little bit of a delay for the auto greet, but yes, for anybody that was not around, so we do have an auto greet feature at the moment. It's a little scuffed, and it kind of sort of works, kind of sort of doesn't, but yeah, it can't see you 715. I feel like this has been an ongoing theme for anything that I build. You just somehow manage to circumvent it. And I'm so pleased. Cat cam? Oh, give me just a second. Hang on. Must summon cat. Kitty. I need a kitty for cat cam. There's a kitty for cat cam. Come here, you. Hello. Oh, hello. Wah. Tiny cat cam. She is not well pleased. Mwah. Ding, 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 ding. Hi. This is Zelda. She's the youngest of the lab, but hey. Thank you, baby girl. You can go if you want to. Or you can hang out and probably try to get into my matcha, because that is just what she does. Thanks for the cat cam. Thank you for the redemption, Soul of Truth. So yes, and then we do have Redis. Redis is currently backing the auto greeter. We have this concept of a ledger, and the ledger is more or less just a persistence store. And I adore Redis, and I adore what Redis is more or less capable of doing. So I kind of stuck with it. It was nice. And I may pause every once in a while. I have a weird setup for how I swap between machines. There's a server rack next to me that holds the Mac, my laptop, and a couple of other things that I kind of swap displays between. And I finally got tired of switching cables around and dealing with cables all the time. So I finally got a HDMI KVM and a USB KVM. Well, it's not really KVM, it's just a switch, but a HDMI switch and a USB switch. And unfortunately, the HDMI switch has auto swap, and I really don't like it. It's kind of, yeah, I don't really like it personally. But yeah. Anyway, so this is what the bot currently looks like. But I would like to make this a little bit nicer. I would like to make this something a little bit easier on the eyes. Let's see here. It's a language feature that oddly never really taught in general courses. What feature was that? Oh, was that tuples? Oh, good old tuples. My colleagues didn't know anything about tuples, and they're both 40 years old. I mean, tuples is definitely not something that is often taught, which is odd to me. But I've also never seen Blank before. Welcome, Blank. All right, so we got to fix that bug. Huh. I've never seen ping before. Oh my goodness, that was... Now that's interesting. It actually shouldn't have registered ping. Huh. Okay, we need a bug fix. Hang on. We need to get our bug list back up. And we'll just put this as a to-do. Bring that back over here. And bug fix. Don't greet empty string. And don't trigger greet on ping. Have no idea why it would be doing that, but we will find out. Do we have Q&As in chat? Yes, indeed. There is. It is basically open chat. Usually I ask if the chat, if there are questions being asked, I usually ask to keep it on topic just so that I can kind of catch them and address them as necessary. But yes, if you have questions, feel free to ask. And just as a note, here in the lab, we do not believe in or in any way, shape, or form call questions stupid. There is no such thing as a stupid question because questions are curiosities. So just saying, no stupid questions. Every question is valid here. At Medj Labs, welcome. Ping 10101. I work with regex a lot. I finally want my raw strings. Heard that. Oh, the Primogen. Oh, look at that emote. I am a big fan of the Primogen, just saying. The Primogen is definitely the he is definitely the biggest reason for why I finally committed to Vim, and what kind of pushed me over that barrier of using Vim here and there to, like, I use Vim at work now, or at least I try to use Vim at work now. But obviously using Vim here, using Vim on personal project, using Vim anywhere that I can use Vim. Vim is so good. All right, so. All right, let's see here. Welcome, that KCA. Enterprise Java is such a pain when it comes to modern TLS support. Freaking seriously. Also, that KCA, welcome to the lab. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let's see here. It says Rockraid priv message. I assume the hash medlabs means channel. What does the priv message mean? So yes, the hash medlabs is indeed the channel that the priv message was sent to, and priv message is just short for private message. It's a little loose on how that message, I think, how priv message is defined, at least in my brain. There's an actual definition, there's a spec, there's a whole thing for it. In my brain, priv messages are private messages sent to the channel. And so in the case of this chat, each one of these chat messages is a priv message command that is sent to the Twitch IRC server. And so when those messages come down to the bot is basically acting as an IRC client. So the IRC client is more or less just listening to these commands, and it's receiving these messages, and it tells me, okay, priv message is the command, the channel that it happened in, etc., etc. You would think that 12 years after it was specified, it would be more common. You're not wrong. TLS 1.2, for real. Like, I am genuinely sad at the state of Java, mostly because I have to work with it on a day-to-day basis. I genuinely wish that that things would be a little more modern, useful, ergonomic. Details. Let's see here. What would a non-priv message be, for example, then? For example, the ping pong message. Ping pong is a very specific exchange that the Twitch IRC is expecting. It's kind of like a heartbeat. Twitch sends a ping, the client better send back a pong, or it gets yeeted out of the server. There are also whispers. So if you are whispering to the bot, for example, there is a way to do that. This will come down as a whisper instead of a priv message, and that is a message that only the bot can see. Although, technically speaking, because of the stream, obviously you would see it, but you get the idea. I kind of wonder if I can whisper myself, because that's not weird. Medlabs. Oh, it doesn't let me whisper. Lame. Oh, well. Tools ITF. 715 is definitely somebody that keeps me very, very informed on the IRC spec and the oddities of the IRC spec, and I appreciate it immensely. You could, for example, configure the bot be I don't know what just happened to my ability to speak there, but it kind of went bleh. You could, for example, configure the bot via whispering it as an authorized user. Would that be a smart usability decision? Possibly. There is a Horizon feature that I was looking at that was more or less an API that would allow configuration of the bot, and the thought there being automation. If there is anything, and I mean anything, that I am very keen on, it's automation. Like, for example, the things that I have automated for Twitch setup, I don't open all these things and size these windows and notify Discord and get all this set up and blah, blah, blah. I don't do that. I run a script and I let it do it for me. So automation, key. FYI, pull request for me. We have a pull request, ladies and gents. Let's go check it out. /MedLab Streambot. Hi, how you doing? I love pull requests. Package cleanup. Got some package cleanup packages and improve readability. New make target was added to copy the env dev file for more easy vault setup. Aha, color me intrigued. And all the whispers. So apparently, I don't have whispers coming to the console. That is very interesting. Since this is an unfamiliar topic, I cannot help with technical advice. No worries, Rockraid. It is more than enjoyable to have you here. Env dev, set up all token, dev simple token as an example. .env, dev, copy env.dev to env, dev env with a start.sh. Aha. Okay, so I have seen this this packaging before. So you got internal package IRC, internal package ledger. And then the bot. The bot is still in bot packaging. Docker Compose will set up vault token. And a quick test. Hello. Internal package ledger in memory. Okay. So Shito, I have seen this this packaging before, but I have not actually read up the idea behind it. Could you give me a TLDR? Because I am very curious. And for full, what do I want to call this? For full transparency, I am one of those people that is very minimal when it comes to packaging. Probably that's a little bit more PTSD from Java than it is anything else. But I really like small, flat packaging, with the exception of I'm one of those people that also enjoys packaging by, what is the term? Packaging by domain. So bot is a domain, so it has its packaging. IRC is a domain, so it has its packaging. And then there's kind of those weird nuances and those weird edge cases for, well, the bot technically includes the auto greeter, which includes the ledger. Are those two things the same? Are they different? Are they dependencies? Who knows? Your chat OAuth needs Whisper to see whispers. Ah, gotcha. Okay. Oh yeah, I am missing some chat messages. That is terrible. Let's put that in theater mode since that is actually working. So apologies, there will be a delay in reading chat messages, but the web-based chat just died for me, so case in point for why I want to make this a thing. All right, so it's more packages that that external should not use. Your chat OAuth needs whispers, it's all that. Private application and library code. This is the code you don't want others importing in their applications or libraries. The layout pattern is enforced by the Go compiler itself. Okay. You are not limited to top-level internal directory. You can have more than one internal directory at any level. You can optionally add a bit of extra structure to your internal packages to separate your shared and non-shared. Okay. Gotcha. Interesting. And I feel like I've seen there was also a package layout. Oh, what was it? What is it? The Go package layout. There was some, yeah, I think it was this one. Yeah. I remember this. This came out yeah. Okay. I'm starting to recall this now. Slowly but surely. Internal packages cannot be imported by anything that doesn't share the parent path of the internal folder. It's an interesting and one we made a conscious choice to avoid due to the impacts around it. Interesting. I am conflicted. So here's kind of the there's a little bit of PTSD that is laced into this, so take this with a grain of salt. It is not me saying anything is right or wrong. Disclaimer. Disclaimer, Medge's opinion. Medge's opinion. This is not official fact or anything of the sort. It is just Medge's opinion. Haha. So in the olden days of when, remember when Model View Controller was like the hot rage? Everybody wanted their applications to be built in Modern View Controller because Model View Controller was the way of the future and blah, 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 blah. Which, by the way, Model View Controller is not an architecture. It is a packaging format. It is a pattern. Yes. MVC is not an architecture. It's a pattern. There was this whole thing that came about, and I think it was Ruby on Rails that really started to push this packaging structure of like your models, your views, your controllers, your shared, your helpers, your utils, etc., etc. I never really aligned to that package structure. It was too annoying to me. So specifically, when I'm looking for features in a code base, very rarely am I actually starting from models, views, controllers. Probably what I've got is a bug ticket that has like a URL on it if it's a web application. And the first thing that I do is I want to go to the route that contains that controller. And what really got me, what really helped me in kind of points in my career was having domain-based packaging such that when I found the controller, all I had to do was expand the folder and there was the service code, the model code, any helpers that were associated to that domain, etc., etc., etc. It was super quick. It was super nice. It doesn't work for everything. Like when you start scaling a code base and your domain starts to get really complicated, and especially when there's interdependencies between domains, yeah, that's where things start to get a little hairy. And there have been debates for, Lord knows, I mean, decades, I think, at this point, on that subject. Let's see here. But yes, I never really aligned to that style of packaging. Like when I see a top-level controllers package, I cringe immediately. Even though tooling, like my Vim tooling, is really good for go to definition, find resources, rip, grep, and FZF, and so forth are fantastic tools, I kind of still like the ability to just pop into a package and be like, this is the code that is associated to this thing, so I don't really have to pop around everywhere. So whenever I see packages that start like this, it kind of gives me pause, except that I have not really dug into this. I've not really dug into this layout. Golang standards, GitHub is by no means a standard. It's someone's opinion on what it should be. Exactly. Which I think they call out at the front. This is not an official standard by the Go team. It is a set of common historical and emerging project layout patterns in the Go ecosystem. Now, this part I typically kind of take with a grain of salt. I pay attention to it, but I also take that as a just because they do it doesn't mean I need to do it. So there's kind of an element there. I write my entire program in one file. It's valid. I mean, I've seen some one-file applications that were not terrible to work with. They weren't great, but they weren't terrible. They were mostly CLIs as well. We restricted the use of that internal folder to only packages that have substantial side effects and potentially problematic issues. Interesting. I kind of like that implication. Because there is an element of when you are brand new to a code base, the question kind of becomes, what API are you using? If you are trying to extend something, or if you are not familiar with the code base and you don't know how to interact with some feature, I'm actually going through this at work right now. What code do you reference? What code do you start with versus what code do you actually have to dig into to really understand what's going on? The skimmability of code is a very important metric, to me at least. We had like 3 MVC projects in the past, and yes, it just meant, okay, create packages called Model View Controller. Exactly. Model View Controller is a pattern. It didn't mean package your applications that way. Used it with Laravel. I've heard good things about Laravel. Never used it personally. Isn't the package format of com.company.project considered standard? For reasons that I genuinely don't understand. Now, if you're creating a library, this is, I think, what gets me. If you're creating a library, like code that you are intending to release to the public or to multiple people outside of your organization, I can see the desire to have that package structure be blah dot company name dot whatever project dot blah. I can see it for that. But when you're talking about internal code that is consumed by you and only you, why do you make me add the extra folders? Like, why do I have to do that? Just call it like company name dot project and move on. Or just have flat packaging. Although, of course, Java and they're not flat packaging. It's about 1 for me and I need some sleep. It'll be a hard day. We'll write unit tests for an Angular app. Oof. I am so sorry, Pippa. Thank you so much for stopping by. It was a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much. And we will see you in the next stream, which I think would be Sorcery stream. So have a good one. Thank you so much, mate. Give me just a second. Had to sneeze there, so sorry. Let's see here. Let's see, just kind of catching up on chat here. Import pox from @mycool. Writing the exports to get that it that easy equals weep. JavaScript is definitely not what I would consider my favorite language, but it is definitely a language that I have recognized. I've recognized JavaScript's usefulness, especially its prevalence. Like, oh my goodness, JavaScript is everywhere. Cool. Yes, thank you very much, Shito. I am going to give that a much deeper look here a little bit later. I kind of want to play around with it and see what it looks like and what the ergonomics feel like. So thank you very much for that, though. I appreciate that. And just as a note for everybody, the code for this bot is up publicly. So it is github.com/medgelabs/streambot. This is a open code base. You are welcome to fork it. You are welcome to submit pull requests, as Shito has shown. Welcome all of those things. So again, thank you very much, Shito. I have been sneezing like crazy today. Oh my goodness. All right. So I think where we are at, thank you, 715. I don't like JS habit of swallowing mistakes, but I understand it comes from a learned habit. The website shouldn't crash on the user. It's kind of fair. It's kind of fair. All right, what I think I'm actually going to do is I'm going to leave the bot running. Medlabs, I see your last chat. No, I did not, Officer Wolf. As you can see, this is not exactly what I would call an easy chat to parse. So this is why I want a this is why I want a UI for this. How we started figuring out how GIFs and sounds would be played from the bot. Not in its entirety, but I do have a general idea. So the general gist of what I have seen is that, number one, there's a browser source that would have to be added into OBS. That browser source would just be a web page, and the bot could have an open connection to that web page, and on some type of event, the bot would push a message to that web page, probably in WebSocket format, and a WebSocket connection, push a message down, and then that would kick off whatever. It would basically show an element. That, at least, is how I have looked at it. That's what I have kind of understood it. In terms of building that myself, not quite yet, but I have an idea. So we may do something small after we get the admin UI up and running. Does Go offer a first-party UI framework, or what are you using? They do have. Let's see here. Well, I guess it depends on what you mean by first-party UI framework. Are you talking about? Oh, well, there you go. Thank you, KCA. What I was thinking about was web app UIs, which they do have a templating system for server rendered web UIs, but I don't think that's what you were asking. So yes, I'm going to keep that chat open, and then we're going to come back into MedgeBot. Oh dear, I think I need, give me just a second, folks. Need profiles, stream. Make sure that is still working. Yes, all right. So let's come back into here. That's not where I wanted to be. I need to come into MedgeBot. We need Vine. Let's source our Twitch token and come into Vim. I saw some demos of Fine at GopherCon and it was super cool. Aha! I'm gonna make a note of that. Go programming with the ease of use, high performance library of widgets, layouts, and more. Color me curious. So yes, the intent, or at least what we have kind of started to work on up to this point, is just a very simple UI, if you want to call it that. There's nothing special to it right now. All we were really doing was kind of we were kind of playing around with the idea of what it could generally look like ish, but as you can see, we didn't really get very far with it. So this was kind of the idea that I was starting to go down. And there was also the question of, well, do I go with a JavaScript framework like every other bloody web application? Do I bite the bullet and just do basically plain HTML, CSS, and little JavaScript bits here and there, which was tempting. Hello, Tiny Cat. There was no cat cam redemption, but hey. Tiny Cat gives free redemption. Yeah. Hello, Tiny Cat. But of course, a web app would be much more convenient, potentially. The idea of there being kind of a built-in UI for the bot is intriguing, but a web UI is kind of the thought, at least at the moment. I would say that for the sake of curiosity, since I'm now looking at Fine, or since I have now been introduced to Fine. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it, but we'll find out. Interesting. Okay. So it's a full... Oh, okay. So it's a full package. Okay. So it's a full package of basically UI components. Interesting. Ah, okay. Form item, groups, hyperlinks, icons, progress bars, radio buttons. Wow. But what about Electron? There's actually something about Electron that kind of messed with me. I'm trying to remember what the application was, but basically, my all the stuff that I do from an automation perspective, was done in AppleScript, and Electron apps are not AppleScriptable. It made me very sad. Hello, you dead yet? No, still just an old boomer. And welcome back, Sorcery. Thank you so much for stopping back on by. Extensive is it? Tables, slides, rich text, graphics. I think the thing that I was looking for initially was some kind of a table. If only there was a table. If there was a table, I would have probably... maybe. Now I'm thinking. Yeah, because the original idea for the chat box from a web application perspective was effectively to make it just a table. And I was thinking of doing that specifically because there are so many table libraries that do things like sorting and searching and so forth kind of built into those widgets, that was a very tempting thing to look at, but yeah. Interesting. Okay. And they have some semblance of testing. Okay. I have no idea what's happening, but I'm all for it. Also, Rockraid, if you are in some capacity poisoning our wonderful mod, please don't. She's kind of irreplaceable. There is no replacing a sorcery. Oh, I like that. So they have a functional interface, but then they have a struct interface. Huh. That's kind of cool. Looks like trees, list, and table widgets are 2.0. Aw. Well, that's okay. That's okay. This is definitely something that I'm interested in, because I like the idea. Yeah, I like the idea of a native application that could just be started as a binary. Yeah, I really like that idea. I mean, mind you, like, we're starting this application stack through Docker Compose already, so it's kind of already an automated stack up, but this would be kind of interesting. Just saying. Nice. All right. So, catch up on chat real quick. Looks like he suspects nothing, which is the work they are doing now. Got it. Thank you, KCA. I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave Fine as a bookmark because I am very interested in what they are doing. Yeah, we may come back to that. can you maybe explain your reasons for favoring a native app? Certainly. I'm going to switch to guitar for a bit. No worries, Sorcery. Thank you for the stretch, and thank you so much for stopping by. Have a good one. Give guitar my love for me. We may be by here in just a few, so if so, and if he's still going, we'll see you soon. All right, can I explain personal reasons for favoring a native app? This is kind of a conflicted reason because at the moment we have two dependencies to the app, Vault and Redis. So I'm not necessarily set on that preference, but my thought was if there was a way that I could effectively embed the dependencies into the application and create a singular binary that could be used for this bot, then effectively that would mean that I would have a tool that I could have to just kind of quickly get this bot up and running, have my mod tools available to me, whatever mod tools I wanted to throw in there, yada, yada, yada. What was Redis again? Redis is an in-memory key value store. It's basically the thing that I am using to persist data, like the people that have been greeted by the auto greeter and so forth. Are you using containerization like Docker? Yes, I am. And welcome, Sunmar. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. We are indeed, and actually at the moment, that is what the bot is currently running in. The bot is running inside of a collection of Docker containers. Docker ps-a. So at the moment we have the bot itself, we have Redis, and then we have Vault for the secrets manager. Could use Bolt for the same KV purposes? Exactly. So that's kind of the thought, is that if we were to go with a native application, does it make sense? Does it make sense to build everything into a native binary that could effectively be a self-contained application? If that makes sense, then maybe all those additional features, all those additional services don't really need to be a thing. But in our case, what we were kind of more moving towards initially was this kind of a middleware for a web interface. So the kind of the UI that you just saw, that would probably be, that would, I mean, at least the way that we built it so far, it was definitely built more in web app capacity, and it kind of is set up to be more of a web app. I'm still kind of deciding, but I feel like I might still go down that path of the web app. And then we kind of go with what we're doing right now, which if I go back to Mejbot and then I open up the Docker Compose file, it probably makes more sense to do this more like web app approach of we have our Vault service, we have our Redis service, and then we have the bot that is depending on those two networked services. It kind of depends. I personally am way overdue on getting into Docker/containerization. My part of Enterprise does not yet deal with it. It's definitely worth a look. I've kind of latched, as a developer, I have latched on really hard to the idea of containerization, mostly because it represents ultimate automation for me. And as a developer, I'm kind of one of those developers, I'm definitely one of those developers that has paid very close attention to the DevOps space, as well as I've always been a developer that's been required to understand not just the code that I'm writing, but the infrastructure that code is going to run on. I've never had like that disconnected experience of just write the code and then throw it over the wall and somebody else handles it. So that's not to say that I want to always do DevOps. I definitely do not want to be a DevOps engineer, but Docker as a skill set, as a developer, has vastly improved my development process. and it's basically sated the clean freak in me, such that I don't have to install Redis, I don't have to install Vault, I don't have to install all these things on my laptop. I can just pull the Docker container that has those things that I need, configure things to talk to each other, and bada boo. Like, I've gone so far as to add aliases, DCB, Docker Compose Build, DCU, Docker Compose Up. It's just a fantastic tool. I love that automation. You don't like us DevOps engineers? I love DevOps engineers. DevOps engineers are keeping me up to date on all of the extensions and optimizations and so forth, which that's what that tiny PC in the background is going to become. It's going to become my my Unraid box, which is going to become my Kubernetes cluster, because I can't deal with the K3s on 4 Raspberry Pis anymore. I'm just done with all that hardware. I'm now getting to QA, and starting up a test server instance with a single command would be lovely. Exactly. For me, that's kind of what's been the big thing for me, is that Docker has automated as where was it? Docker's amazing for local environments. Exactly, Sunmar. That's where I get most of my usage of Docker out of. And then the productionalization of that Docker container, the deployment of a Kubernetes cluster, the use of ECS or EKS, or insert any other container orchestrator here. I think Mesos was one at some point, Rancher, all of those container orchestrators, RIP Swarm. I haven't really gotten to that point. I've played with them. I've deployed my own Kubernetes clusters and deployed services to them, but like productionalizing them, making them secure, proper namespace separation, all of that stuff, nah. Haven't really gotten into that. I focus more on the code. Docker is great. Yes. Ops now gets a static bundle of assets, and we get a standardized way of interfacing with it. Again, I'm one of those people that always thought that it is a developer's responsibility to understand what that code requires to run. And so if they don't understand that to me is a shortcoming, and it's just going to create problems. It has always created problems for me down the line. So I'm definitely one that is very pro at least understanding what the code requires and the infrastructure that it requires, but leaving it to people that dedicate themselves to the craft of infrastructure, environment automation, security, etc., to actually implement it properly. Oh my goodness. Thank you, KCA. I will leave that to you. Super niche idea for the bot. And probably thinking, but since Ponegachis have end-to-end encryption messaging, I think it would also be cool if I could send messages from my Ponegachi to the bot and have it read it in chat as well. Don't know the complexity of it, but would be a cool thought. Send me a private message on Discord.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this
thing. Thank you so much for the follow, Sunmar. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab coats will be available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they are actually going to fit because they are digital, and we cannot guarantee that they fit anyway. Yes. Sorry, we're away. No worries, Shito. Did you talk about the front-end language already? At the moment, it's just... at this point, it's just HTML and CSS. I am pondering the possibility of bringing... oh my goodness. Svelte. There we go. I'm pondering the possibility of bringing Svelte.js into the mix and potentially building the app as a Svelte project. I'm also pondering the possibility of it just being a static HTML and CSS file. I haven't really gotten that far yet, to be honest. All right. I think that catches up. And I know that this stream has been a lot more discussion, a lot more interaction, and a lot less coding. But quite frankly, I live for that. Like, having those discussions is just absolutely fantastic to me. I love it. All right. So, where we are right now, I think it probably makes sense to get rid of this section. And all the section was those metrics cards, what it was previously. I think it makes sense to just get rid of those. Because for the time being, I don't really see a need for the metrics cards. Maybe we could add them in later. Maybe we could put them somewhere on the app, but yeah. Yeah. I don't really see a need for doing that. At least right now. I feel like just focusing on the chat box makes the most sense to me. And so if we look at the code, in the code right now, we just have the singular chat box. We don't really have a lot going for... Oh, yeah, right. This is a 1FR. Honestly, I think it's like 1FR might just... I don't even think we need grid for this, all things considered. Because that would just be one giant... yeah, that would just kind of be one giant bit. And if we didn't do that, that wouldn't really do anything. We do that, we did that. Sorry, all I'm really doing is going into the CSS right now and just kind of playing around with what it would potentially look like. But we wouldn't want it to be 0 margin 0 auto. If I'm just starting learning Go and Postgres, should I start with libpq or use pgx? Libpq, I think, was my vote. Let me double check that real quick. I want to say libpq is the one that I used most recently.
So, how are you holding up? Because I'm a potato.
Thank you so much for the subscription, Sunmar. Oh my goodness. Welcome to the lab. You are officially an honorary researcher. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, mate. Oh man. Now I'm flustered. Yes. I'm a fan of libpq personally. I don't really have much of a need for some of the features that PGX comes with. If I'm remembering, PGX was more the ORM. No, that was Gorm. Yeah, I think PGX was definitely the low level one. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I was so sorry about that. I was mixing up Gorm with PGX, so my apologies. Reardon? I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Also, welcome to the lab. Thank you so much for stopping by. And hydrating. Thank you, Officer Wolf. There are some edge cases where PGX is useful. Interesting. I love edge cases. And that's not because it's my last name. I'm not a fan of ORMs. I'll go ahead. I'll say it now. I'm not a fan of ORMs. Not a fan. I prefer just flat SQL. I said it. As long as the tool that I'm using has a relatively simple process for extracting fields out of a SQL result, I'm a fan. Heresy. Don't say that in a Java code base. Oh my goodness. All right, so could probably get rid of the center bit because those two things are not going to do anything. Like these two nav bars are absolutely not going to do anything for quite some time. ORMs are more useful in languages that don't have a nice native parameterizing interface? Exactly. If it is a pain in the butt to extract a result set out of that, or extract a result set, extract fields out of that result set into the object that you are using to represent that row, it's not a fan. And I love how Shoryuken Pizza is just he is immortalized in this one version of the web UI. Okay. Now the other part of this, which I'm starting to realize that we may not actually get to the implementation side of this tonight. This was more of just chatting about what's going on and just chatting with chat, which has been quite enjoyable. Just saying. But something that I would probably need is some type of interface that would allow me to hook into the messages and get those messages out to the UI. You don't want that Bobby Tables incident. Excuse me, sir, why did you name your child Drop Table Star? Ah, yes, Bobby Drop Tables. He's a bit of an odd one, but we love him. We love him anyway. Oh, good old Bobby Drop Tables. Sanitize your inputs. Do it, people. How do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? So yes, we need an API. We need something. Now here's the interesting thing. Potentially interesting thing. At the moment, the code that we have for the bot, for anybody that's new to the stream that is not aware, we have this bot interface that is effectively just a structure that contains the API for interacting with the bot. Effectively outside code, if you want to interact with the bot, you interact with this bot struct. And to add functionality to the bot is in the form of handlers. Very similar to handlers like the HTTP handlers, like the HTTP message handlers, although not quite as nice, because for our HTTP or for our handlers, we have to create them as registers, but then we also have to go into the main.go and actually register those handlers. We have to register them explicitly. So to add functionality to the bot, it looks a little something like this. We have this method, this receiver function on the bot, register, insert some function, and if they have dependencies, the dependencies are handled there. And then we call this bot.register handler, which is really just a collector for handler functions. We have these functions that we append to the bot, and those functions, their whole purpose is to process a message. This is our abstraction for a message coming in from the IRC. And then each of these handlers will do something with that message. What that something is, kind of TBD. But for example, the greeter will grab that username. They will check if that username is in the ledger, and if they are not, then they'll send a message to the chat saying, welcome username. And to do, sanitize for empty string. We need to do that. That'll be the only code that we write, all things considered. So yeah, and the thought here, I think, is that if we wanted to effectively create an API that receives a message and then sends that off to a UI, a web UI that is listening for these messages, then maybe we could have a handler that is receiving a WebSocket connection, or is receiving a WebSocket message and then it just pipes it back out to another WebSocket message. It basically receives, transforms it into something, and then sends it off to the WebSocket connection for the UI. Thoughts and ideas. Old Bobby drop tables. What's the goal of the bot? More or less at the moment, the first goal is to build a UI of some kind that is going to replace my reliance on the chat window of Twitch. So that's just going to be kind of like a widget that's down over here that is constantly listening and receiving messages, and effectively is going to be a chat client for me. The second one is to take some responsibilities that I currently have on other streams and automate them, which will be the auto greeter, thanking subscribers, thanking followers, those kinds of things. We used our chat for our chat bot, the scripting name RiveScript. Should more act as a interesting. Add that to things to look at later. I have so many tabs by the end of stream. It's just like things that I'm curious about. Click, 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 click. In fact, you know what? Let's go ahead and this will be the only code that we write for stream. Still a good night, I think. If username equals, and actually we want to do strings dot trim space, return slice of strings with all leading and trailing white space removed. Fantastic. So if empty string, return basically. We don't really want to do anything. Otherwise, check the ledger, do the thing, did the thing. I am still very curious as to why that. I'm still very curious as to why 715 didn't show up. I might have to look into that because that is confusing me. Trace username for 715 miss incident is what I shall call it. Oops. The great 715 incident. Maybe I'm already in Redis. You shouldn't be. Let me see here. Let me double check this. Yeah. You shouldn't be. The pool at this point should be empty, in theory. So yeah, we may have to take a look at that. Don't need to do anything for that. We could do a trace message. Trying to think of what I would want to do here. I've seen it work some weeks before. Exactly. I do remember 715 being greeted before, but I think this also happened in the last stream. It was something, it might have been just the timing, but I'm not entirely sure. And I'm afraid to do that. Yeah, I'm afraid to add what I was thinking about was, should I just add a log dot something here? But I think that would just be log spam, and I don't really want log spam. Yeah, we'll probably trace that at some point because I'm kind of curious. Stuff like user joins are not very reliable, so don't fully rule out a Twitch issue is fair. But it should be registering. So we're not, just for context, we're not actually greeting based on joins. We're actually greeting based on messages sent. So in theory, this should have had an IRC message, or an IRC message should have been received from the client. This handler would have received it, and then that message should have been the 715209 message, and it should have greeted 715. So I'm not entirely sure. I mean, we could do something like, I'm usually not much of a fan of this, but I could say something like format dot, and this is kind of the same thing. It's like we could do a format dot printf already seen %s and then username. So we could do something like that, but that can get really spammy really fast. So not sure that I want to do that. Is Twitch removing IRC for chat in the future? Yeah, I think I agree with 715. Probably not, although it is not outside of the realm of possibility. It could be that running an IRC server is just becoming a pain in the butt, so maybe. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Hello, Doggo. Doggo has popped in. So yeah, for now, I think we'll leave it like that, and I'll dig into that a little bit later. And same thing for ping pong. Ping pong just became a if message.command equals ping bot.client.send pong. Okay. Thinking about where I would want to go from here. Just kind of catching up on things. I doubt they would kill that, but I can imagine that they introduce some alternative and then deprecate IRC. Exactly. That's what I would expect, at least. A bunch of ping pongs. Okay. So I'm thinking about what this would potentially look like. Just Doggo drinking in the background. I'm thinking about what this would potentially look like. My original thought was to do something like this. Bot, what do we want to call this? We want to call this UI handler, maybe. It's a terrible name, but it's the only one that I can think of at the moment. And the thought would be it's another handler. Oh, here we go. CR. Restart in them. Them. And then this would be bot is a pointer to the bot. And then this would be register UI handler. And so the thought would be something like c.message if message.command equals priv message, which at this point should really be a some type of function, I would think. Just catching up. Remove IRC because they do have IRC over WebSockets now. Correct. Just as a heads up for everybody, just kind of drop over that real quick. That is what we are doing for the bot right now. we are using a WebSocket connection and receiving these IRC messages through that WebSocket connection. So IRC, our client, is basically just a wrapper around a WebSocket connection. Which it makes me sad that this is not an io.readwrite, but whatever. Readwriter. It's not like they could make things easy on me for testing or anything. Run out of application memory? I don't think so. That's hilarious. Because I have 16 gigs on this, and I am fairly confident that I did not run out of memory there. No. Or maybe it did. So that wasn't me when the stream stuttered? No. Uh-oh. Let me double check. Oh dear. OBS is using a lot of memory. Okay. Well,